The lights were warm, the music was bright, and the next round of Family Face-Off was rolling like every other fun afternoon taping. Marcus Hale strolled between the two podiums with that easy grin of his, tossing a joke to the left, a wink to the right, and keeping the crowd humming along. On one end of the Turner family's line stood a small girl in a maroon shirt, 10 years old, hair tied back, chin lifted like she was balancing a secret on it. Her name was Nora Kim. When introductions came around, Marcus crouched to meet her eyes. "What do you want to be when you grow up?" he asked. Nora looked at the ring of cameras, then back to him. "Someone who helps people have a good day," she said. It was simple, honest, and the audience gave the kind of soft awe you hear when a truth lands. The game picked up speed. The Hendersons snagged control with the top answer to a question about cheering someone up. Buzzer hits, cheers, a little dance from an uncle in the back. Marcus was mid-joke when he saw tiny tracks of tears on Nora's face, catching light like thin silver wires. Not the happy kind, not the overwhelmed kind. A different weight. He cut the joke in half and walked over it. "Hey, champ," he whispered, keeping the mic away. "You good?" Nora's gaze didn't wobble. She blinked, gathered herself, and said 3 words so soft the boom mic almost missed them. "I'm not scared." 3 words. A bell you don't hear so much as feel. The room didn't gasp. It exhaled. The Henderson family went quiet. The Turners stopped celebrating. Marcus's cue cards lowered to his side like they had decided to rest. He looked up to the control booth, then back to Nora. The music faded. The lights eased. Then the host did something shows aren't designed for. He paused everything. "We're going to try something different," Marcus said, standing between both families. "For a minute, there's no verses, just one table. Stagehands reading the moment without a word, rolled the podiums together until both teams stood shoulder to shoulder. A broad surface formed in the middle like a makeshift kitchen table, suddenly more human than game show. Marcus smiled at Nora. "I'm making up a round. You're the judge." He puffed his cheeks, crossed his eyes, and gave the worst funny face anyone had seen. Groans, laughter, relief. An aunt from the Hendersons threw in a rubbery duck lip grin. A Turner cousin pretended to sneeze glitter. Nora broke into a laugh, small at first, then fuller, then fully hers. The crowd clapped not because they were told to, but because the air was lighter and everyone felt it. "Round 2, Marcus said. "Name something that gets bigger when you share it." Voices called out. Smiles, hope, kindness. When it was Nora's turn, she touched the edge of the table, thinking, "Time that feels full," she said. The words were quiet but clear, like she had practiced them on the inside of her heart. Marcus nodded as if she had handed him a map. He leaned closer. "Why did you say I'm not scared?" Nora shrugged a shoulder. "Because when people are scared, the house goes quiet. I don't want today to be quiet." A man from the Hendersons stepped in gently. "What would make it not quiet?" he asked. Nora smiled at him like he had opened a door. "If we all play together," she said, "like real family does." So they did. Marcus invented a good day challenge. Everyone had to give one idea for making a tough day a little softer. Warm socks from a dryer. A song that reminds you of summer. Cutting fruit into stars. A call that says no reason, just checking in. The studio turned into a brainstorm for gentleness, the kind of thing you wish you wrote down every day. Between rounds, Marcus kept his voice low, for Nora more than for the mics. "You're brave," he said. She didn't flinch at the word. "Brave is when you're shaking and you show up anyway," Nora replied. "Not rehearsed, learned." A light technician dimmed the back rows by instinct. The audience leaned in like they were listening to a bedtime story they had heard since they were 7. No one asked for rules. No one asked for the score. Both families started standing a little closer, making space around Nora like she was a small campfire in a large field. Last round, Marcus announced, "Name something you keep even after you give it away." People offered answers, stories, forgiveness, chances. Nora looked up as if searching for the word on the ceiling. "Courage," she said. "When you give some to someone, you still have yours. It grows." Applause rose and fell like a tide. Marcus cleared his throat and tapped the table with 2 fingers. "I think we have a champion," he said. But he didn't point to a scoreboard. He pointed to Nora. The band didn't play. They didn't need to. He asked if she wanted a short break. She shook her head. "Could we do one more thing?" she asked. "Could you tell me something the cameras don't hear?" Marcus hesitated only long enough to choose the exact honesty he wanted to give. He bent to her level and spoke where only she could catch it. "When I was your age, I thought brave meant loud," he whispered. "Turns out brave means steady." Nora smiled like he had passed her a secret worth keeping. The show resumed a light version of itself. A bonus round appeared out of thin air, lightning questions crafted to make Nora giggle favorite bedtime snack, rain or snow, the best sound in the morning. She answered quick and bright. Toast corners, rain that taps, the first pan sizzle. The laughter that followed wasn't the loudest in the show's history, but it was the kind you remember on a Tuesday 2 months later, when it was truly time to close. Marcus looked to the booth. The red tally light argued for format. The moment argued for something else. He chose the moment. "Tonight," he said, "we learned that the best games happen when we stop keeping score." He reached into his pocket and unclipped a small silver cufflink shaped like a tiny compass. It had a scuff on one edge where life had been busy. He pressed it into Nora's palm. "This is my good luck piece. It points nowhere in particular, which is my favorite thing about it. You keep it. Anytime you feel the day wobble, squeeze it and remember, you're not lost. You're here." Nora closed her fingers around it and nodded like a captain accepting a map. "Thank you," she said. Her voice didn't shake. The audience stood. Not a wild roar more, like a warm front washing through a room. Backstage, the corridor smelled like fresh paint and coffee. A producer passed with a headset, eyes wet and smiling. Both families moved as one cluster, exchanging numbers and promises to meet for a barbecue that would probably happen and, if it didn't, would still be a nice thing to plan. Marcus gave Nora a small, folded note, the kind a person keeps in a wallet longer than they mean to, for rough pockets of the day, he told her. She tucked it into her sleeve like a magician does with a flower. In the note, later she would read 8 words in wide, careful handwriting. "Steady is brave. You're already doing it." That line would sit on her nightstand for a long time, surviving laundry cycles and the drift of seasons. The episode that aired weeks after wasn't the one they had rehearsed on paper. It was quieter in places, brighter in others. Editors left in a second or two of silence here and there, the kind that lets you hear your own heart remember something. Viewers wrote in about the table, about how 2 podiums slid together and turned opponents into neighbors. Some said they played the Good Day Challenge with their kids that Sunday. Some said they called a parent they missed but hadn't known how to dial. A teacher hung a sign on her classroom door, "Things that get bigger when we share them," and the board filled up by lunch. Nora kept the compass cufflink by her window in a little dish where sunlight collected. On mornings that felt heavy, she pressed a thumb to the metal and said the 3 words again, not as a dare, but as a promise to herself. "I'm not scared." It didn't make hard things vanish. It made space around them, like pulling the curtains back and letting the day look at you kindly. Marcus kept a spare index card in his suit coat after that taping. It wasn't a script, it was a reminder. Pause if a soul needs room. He found himself using it more than once, sometimes with a nervous dad who forgot his own name under the lights, sometimes with a grandmother who wanted an extra second to finish a story the clock didn't technically allow. The show never broke. It breathed. If you ask the crew about that afternoon, they'll tell you it wasn't a miracle. It was a choice. One person told the truth softly. Another person listened. A room adjusted. That's all, and somehow that was enough to shift a set built from steel and screens into something that felt like a living room. Months later, a small envelope arrived at the studio with no return address. Inside was a photo of a little dish on a windowsill, the cufflink catching morning light like a tiny moon. On the back, someone had written 5 words in a kid's careful print. "Still here, still brave, thank you." And that is how one round of a friendly game became a chapter in people's days. Not because anything exploded or because the score was historic, but because a child decided a home shouldn't. Be quiet, a host decided a show could wait, and a room full of strangers remembered how to be on the same side. The music can be loud and the lights can be bright, but sometimes the best part is when everything softens and you can hear 3 small words that you carry with you. Long after the credits roll, "I am not scared."